What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so I was having a chat with a couple of people earlier. We were going back and forth about money, metals, and just talking about silver and gold in general. But somebody was saying, oh, so-and-so has cheaper prices, so-and-so has cheaper prices. And I'm like, actually, they don't. And then when they tell me what the price is, I realize there's a common mistake that everybody makes. I'm going to point that out, and then I'm going to show you some other websites to make a comparison to. But not only that, I'm going to show you other options when it comes to silver. Okay, so this right here is the maple leaf. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But again, if you're thinking about buying precious metals, give a consideration to our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is in the description. If you are a first-time buyer here in the United States or Puerto Rico, and you spend more than $100 on precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. Return buyers, if you spend more than $200, use promo code PEEPS, and Money Metals will give you 10 back, just as a small way of saying thank you to my subscribers. Again, I appreciate that. You guys know I'm over here on Facebook, and I'm really happy about this group. I have Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's free to join. The links are in the description if you're on Facebook. And also, you guys, I keep letting people know that I do have an alternative YouTube besides Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's called the Hidden Things in Front of Your Eyes. Over here, I can talk a little bit more openly and freely. And last night, I had a chance to do an interview with a Prime Minister. You guys come check that out over there. It's a 3-part series, so you'll see the other ones come over here. But these, I can't post on the other channel. All right, so what's going on out there in the world of the cryptocurrencies as well as gold and silver? Well, I keep waiting for them to make that announcement. I'm sure they'll bounce back up. But what I did notice is that gold and silver started to make a move just on the idea that a stimulus check was about to be passed, and it started to go up. And then, of course, the powers that be went in there and interfered. But nonetheless, it's getting close to $1,900 for gold. Silver, I believe, was at 27, if not over 27 last night when I last looked. Yeah, it was. So it was up to, look at that, almost $27.5. So it was running pretty quick. And of course, it got slammed back down because silver is something in my opinion, they're really going to try hard to keep down in value. I don't know for how long. Also, Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies started running too. And then I told you what happens is once it gets to a certain plateau, then you'll see people sell off just to grab the profits. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here real quick. If you look over here, what is this? December, about the 16th, is that right? So on the 16th of December, around $19,400. And then before long, yeah, so 5 days later, almost 24,000. You can see that's a pretty big jump. It's, almost freaking, it is. It's actually over $5,000. No, not quite 5,000. That's 4,000, dollar jump, a little over $4,000 jump in just 5 days. So if you own a lot of these coins, you might sell some of them just to grab the profits. That's usually what happens. A lot of people will do that. Again, this is what we're talking about. I did the video and everybody got pissy about it when I talked about why don't buy Bitcoin or why I don't have a lot of faith in cryptocurrencies. But this person was specifically talking about Bitcoin because it has no true storage of value, the whole 9 yards. And it talked about the volatility. And this is a perfect example. I mean, look at this. Where are we at here? This is 4 o'clock in the morning. Hell, you don't even have to use it there. Let's go over here. So at 7 in the morning, we're at $23,900. By almost 1 o'clock, it's all the way down to $22,100. So you know what I mean? That's a pretty big, that's over $2,000 drop in a short period of time. That type of volatility, is why people are concerned about cryptocurrencies. Now, again, I tell you that, but I still think there's a window of opportunity in which we can make money off of cryptocurrencies, thousands of dollars worth. And I think we're in that window now. But, for me, I'm just pointing out the pros and cons when I can. But for the most part, again, people are selling off right now. Don't panic, buy on the dip. That's usually what you see happening. Litecoin was taken off like a bat out of hell and then had a vicious drop today. It's lost 11% already. So you can see all the cryptocurrencies people are just grabbing their profits real quick off of recent purchases. So what they do is they sell. They sold around the $24,000, close to $24,000. And then when it dropped back down closer to $22,200, they started buying it back up again cheaper at a discount. and putting their profits into it, it'll start to go back up. If you're really good at catching those types of cycles, more power to you. You will make a lot of money. Okay, and so let me show you something I was talking about. Someone said to me, no, Pimpy, hey, on AmpMix, guess what? They have silver on sale for $30.39 an ounce. And someone said, well, so what? JM Bullion has over $29.92. And I said, see, and it's cheaper because it's cheaper than Money Metals because they're at $30.19. I go, okay, so I'm going to point something out you guys need to pay attention to. When you come over here to any of these websites, okay, and you go to silver and you go to look at the silver eagles, and you see these on the outside, that don't fall for that trick, okay, because I'm going to show you why. If you click into it, here's what you're going to learn. So, in order for you to get the sell of $30.37, you have to buy more than 1,000 of the coins. See here? See, they don't show you that on the outside. That's how you get suckered in. So if you're buying anywhere from 1 to 19 coins, you're going to buy them for $32.37 a coin. Okay? $32.37 on AmpMix. Same thing with JM Bullion. See here? You're like, ooh, $29.92. But if you click on it, right, and you go inside of it, look, same thing. $29.91 actually if you buy over 1,500 of them. So if you're going to buy between 1 and 19 of them, it's $30.86 there. Here it's $32.37. Now, the thing about Money Metals is they actually put the low price on the outside. So when you go into it, nope, I'm backwards. It's the same thing. So the low price on the outside is not the right one. Here you go. So look at this. So for 1 through 39, it's $30.99. Okay. So 32, $30.86, and $30.15. Oh, wait, where are we at? Oh no, $30.99. All right, so JM Bullion is just a little bit cheaper. Now here's another thing I want to show you guys. So see that I told you, I mean, Money Metals is very competitive. That's what I love about them. And so again, when you guys look at these, don't fall for that trick. You know what I mean? When you're here, these are where people are telling me, oh, look what's on sale. It's $30.39 ounce. I'm like, no, that's not the right. You got to click into it. You got to go into it. Okay, so that's on all websites like that. But I'm going to show you something else too, because you will appreciate this. So if you are buying a large amount, let's say you get up there around, 50 ounces more, or, just even if you're buying one, let me reword that. So the American Eagles, you can see right now, if you're just buying one, it's what did the price change right here in front of my face? What happened here? It just was lower than that. $31. Wasn't it $29.99? Am I going crazy? Anyways, so $31 even right now for the Silver Eagle. Okay, for anywhere between 1 to 39 ounces, it is $31. Okay. Let me show you something. Go up here to where it says silver. Go over to where you at. Oh, silver maple leaf. See these right here? Click them. These are Canadian maple leaves. They're 1 ounce coins. They're beautiful. They're the second most recognizable coins out there. You can see they are slightly cheaper. These are $30.60. Okay, so you can. It just depends. It would be a pretty good chunk of savings if you were buying a large amount of coins. So, for what are we talking about here? 40 cents per coin, that'll kind of add up over a little bit over time. Although they got the privy in there. I need to get some of these little bad boys. Anyways, so it's cheaper. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you have the American Eagles, they're one price. The maple leaves are a little bit cheaper. They're at, what are we talking about here? Again, $30.60. What are these Cougarons on? Let's see here. The Cougarons. So these are 1 troy ounce. Look at these are $30.49. So you see, guys, there's 3 different options there. If you're kind of on a budget, think about buying the cheaper 1 ounce coins. They're still good. South African Cougarons, 1 ounce coins. Here you go, $30.49. Okay, so I wanted to show that to you because I know from time to time people are like always trying to find the best deals for American Eagles, and that's good because it's the world's most recognizable silver coin. And right now, silver is the best buy, even over gold right now. Even if you had the money for gold, don't get me wrong, you should have some. But I think silver with the ratios somewhere around 76 now. So in other words, it takes 76 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But I've been telling everybody about, we're going over the fact that no, there's some bigger things coming up over these next few years if you want to try to hold on to them long term, especially for people who have IRAs or 401ks. Right now is a great time to be into silver. I told you guys if you want to convert them over, come over. It says other right here. See this? And come over here. It says retirement accounts. And in here, the great thing about Money Metals is they teach you how to do one of these, convert into a self-directed gold IRA you can do for silver. So go here and look at all the instructions and they'll help you with that. Okay, so let's get into this video because they did cover some areas that I love, of course. And that is, they're talking about why people should focus a lot more on silver right now. It's cheaper. It's called the poor man's gold. But again, it's just my opinion, and I hear other people saying the same thing, but it's my opinion within the next 10 years, you're going to see silver catch, if not pass up, gold in value. There's just too many different uses for silver, and gold has, outside of, jewelry, it has very little commercial use. And silver is actually more scarce right now than gold is. But let's listen to Miles Franklin. This video here, I will leave a link to it, as I always do. Let's kind of go over what this gentleman is going to share with us as far as the difference between silver and gold when investing right now.
The first topic I'd like to discuss today is the silver market, because you're pretty bullish on silver right now, and you were just actually interviewed on Kitco, and you were talking about how you really think that the silver price will disconnect from gold, which is pretty surprising because gold and silver trade, it seems like, just kind of...
Yeah, wait a minute. When I first heard that, I kind of blew my mind a little, but I do see what he's saying. Okay, so normally what happens is gold and silver travel together as far as when it goes up and when it goes down. I told you that gold tends to go up very slow and come down very slow, where silver is like a sporadic kid high on sugar. It's really hyper. It shoots up really fast and comes down really fast. So again, you want to pay attention to the ratios when deciding what to do. There are people out there that make a living. What they do is trading metals. In other words, if you are buying right now a ton of silver and the ratio is 76 ounces for 1 ounce of gold, as the ratio closes, all right? So as the ratio closes and gets somewhere around 15, maybe 20 for every 1 ounce, then you would trade 20 of your ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. And then you pick up a lot of ounces of gold. And then as the market goes on, if that ratio starts to widen again, then you would trade a couple of your ounces of gold in for more silver. And so in other words, over time, you're actually accumulating wealth as you trade your coins. People do that for a living. Okay, so but this guy's talking about it's going to decouple. Okay, in other words, one's going to go up and the other one might go flat or go down. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Kind of like in lockstep fashion, they have one of the highest correlations we've seen between markets, but you see kind of a disconnect coming. So can you expand on that?
Yeah, I really believe that, I think that gold and silver, looked at both as a currency. I think that's a thing of the past where they're traveling together as this currency. And what I think is that the fundamental uses for silver far outweigh the number for gold. And, gold is just this currency that has really been kind of a hindrance on silver. And I think if they can disconnect and look at the real true fundamentals behind each metal, I think that you'll see that silver prices should be substantially higher,
I agree,
pushing that ratio much lower.
No, you said essentially that gold and silver will disconnect. So what will that really look like? Is it just going to, like gold and silver, do you see rising, but just silver rising faster?
So I'm not as optimistic on gold at the moment. And the reason is that inflation and interest rates, if you look at the 7 to 10 year note, and you even go out to the 30 year, you can see that those debt instruments are selling off, which means that interest rates on the back end are starting to rise. That's because people believe that we will get through this whole COVID thing, the vaccines will be distributed, and we can get back to somewhat a new business as usual.
See, he did say something that I'm concerned about, is the misconception that, we're going to get some vaccine, the Rona, the economy will recoup. People will move back out of safe haven investments like gold, silver, and start going back into riskier things like stocks. Don't fall for that trap. I don't care if we do go back and the economy starts going good. The reason for that is they've printed out so much money. I just don't see no way out of this. Okay, I absolutely believe the dollar is going to crash.
So that's why those interest rates are going up. That's why the stock indices are continuing to go. They're starting to rotate out of, some of the COVID plays into more small cap and things like that. So I think that.
By the way, what he is saying is what a lot of your when you talk to your 401 people, your 401k people, and your IRA people, and you're thinking about converting it over into a an gold IRA or 401k, converting some of it over into gold and silver, you're going to hear them make this same kind of pitch. I guarantee it. Oh, you don't want to do that because look, here's what's going to happen. Their job is to try to keep you into those riskier assets. I told people you don't have to convert your whole entire account. You might think about doing 25, 30% of it into precious metals. Then if something happens and the stock's crashing, you lose everything in your 401ks or inside of your IRAs, then you still have your gold and silver, which will go up then to fall back on. And so you haven't lost everything, and most likely gold and silver will go up to a high enough value to recoup what you lost, or if not, gain more. It just really depends on how much you have in there. On the other hand, if nothing happens, then fine, you still have all the money you've have sitting in your 401ks or IRA accounts that you can use, in addition to having the gold and silver to sit back on. So if something does happen, it's always there. The point being, you're not losing anything by hedging yourself against a crash or a bad economy by moving 25 to 30% of your holdings into precious metals.
That people will naturally chase the higher yield, and that's why you're seeing gold futures signal lower. If you look at the other metals that are out there like platinum, palladium, copper, they've all had a great underlying bid recently on them because of this reopening, because of the infrastructure. And where it really comes down to silver is a commodity. It's not a currency, okay? They stopped putting it in currency in 1965. It is truly this commodity that is getting more and more demand in becoming more involved with different products. And if you look at mining production, it's been relatively flat to slightly lower. And you look at the demand is continuing to increase and outperform year over year. And those number of uses are going to continue to expand, causing the supply-demand imbalance and pushing silver prices up.
So to be clear, are you saying that you see gold prices falling, but then silver prices rising?
No, I don't know about that. Gold never falls down to meet silver. Silver always goes up to meet gold. So I don't think you're going to see a value drop in gold, but what you will see is silver going up and then passing.
Yes, I believe that they will eventually, an eventual disconnect will occur between the two products. And you take electric vehicle sales, okay? They have been going up at a substantially accelerating rate year over year. They believe by 2030 that 20% of all the vehicles out there will be these electric vehicles. I think that the number could be even higher. So if you look at what the different uses are, there's such almost a minute amount of gold that goes in this product. Yet there's a bunch of silver. There's quite a few ounces of silver that go into the battery control system. And, I believe that
technology in general, computers, iPads, cell phones, silver's in all of it, solar panels, you know what I mean, besides jewelry. So for those of you who are out there that have children or grandchildren, what you might think about doing, some people like to put money aside for their grandchildren or their children's college or what have you, you might think about buying silver and holding on to that. So instead of having that money in an account, in my opinion, you probably would benefit more by moving that money out of an account and putting it into precious metals, silver to be more specific. Because, again, if it's your grandchild or it's your children, somewhere within, like he's talking about, within the next 10 years, you're going to see a significant jump in the value of precious metals, but especially silver, as the demand use for it commercial-wise increases and there's a scarcity of it. There's going to be think about supply and demand. There's not going to be enough of it. We're already seeing that now. There's a panic on the market. So, you might think about moving your money from this account that you're putting aside for your grandchild or children and then put it into precious metals that you hold. Okay, so when the time comes, you can give them the silver and they could sell it and then go to college or buy a house or what have you. But again, I agree with half of what he's saying. I don't think you're going to see gold go down. If anything, it might stop and go horizontal, but as silver passes it up. But like I said, gold never comes down to the value of silver. Silver always goes up towards gold.
This supply-demand issue is going to cause silver to all of a sudden one day it'll be up 50 cents and gold might be up a couple dollars, and then the next day it'll be up $1 and gold might be up $20. Gold will be the one that is trying to piggyback silver, not the other way around.
And what does this
that
all
would be
mean
interesting
for the gold-silver ratio? Because I know back in March we saw a historic high for the gold-silver ratio around 126, 125 to 1. Now we're down to around 70 or 80. What does this mean for the gold-silver ratio?
Again, let me explain that because some people don't understand that. That's great. I remember that. And so, in other words, he's saying back in July, remember I was telling you that people trade precious metals and make money off this? So if back in July, you put a lot of money into silver when the ratio was ridiculous, again, I think what did he say? Was it 125 to 1? So in other words, 125 ounces you would have to trade of silver just to get 1 ounce of gold, is what he's saying. So back then, the smart thing would have been if you had gold coins, 1 ounce gold coins or whatever, you would then go trade them and get your 125 ounces of silver. You know what I mean? So you trade. Let's say you save. You trade 2 ounces. You pick up 250 ounces of silver. I'm just using round numbers and being very simplistic about this. So you trade back in July. You traded 2 ounces of gold because the ratio is 125 to 1, and you got back 250 ounces, right, of silver. Now, right where we are now, it's at 75 to 1, 75 ounces of silver to 1. Remember, you traded 2 ounces of gold to get your 250 ounces of silver. If the ratio is 75 to 1 right now, that means, you can trade your silver and get about 3.5 ounces of gold. See, so you went from trading 2 ounces of gold to get 250 ounces of silver, where the ratio is now. If you traded those same 250 back for gold, where it currently stands, you'd get about 3.5 ounces. So you have increased your wealth by 1.5 ounces of silver. I mean gold. Do you see what I'm talking about? This is what I'm talking about. People pay attention to the ratio and they just trade metals this way. So that'd have been nice if you were back then, and let's say you were smart enough to pick up on this and you traded, 10 ounces, 20 ounces. If you're playing in the big boys league, you know what I mean? And you traded straight across for silver. Man, that's a ridiculous gain in wealth is what we're talking about. So you went from, again, trading 2 ounces of gold for 250 ounces of silver to the ratio where it is now, and you trade those same 250 ounces of silver and get back about 3.5 ounces of gold. That's how you make money, just trading metals. Okay, you pay attention to the ratio. So like you said, it was crazy back in July, but where we are right now, it's come down a little bit, but we are historically still way out of whack. Historically, the ratio is 15 to 1. 15 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. So that's why I'm saying right now, you guys just keep stacking up on as much silver as possible, because the ratio is it's going to shrink. Okay.
So that situation, like to review in the past, was COVID, we're locked down, depression, sell everything, and get into the safety of treasuries, get into dollars, get into gold. The correlation between those were all about lockstep. Those were like the assets that people were choosing. They even sold their Bitcoin. That was crashing at the moment. So silver, the interesting thing is that I tried to get in the car and I drove to a bunch of different dealers and I was trying to buy it, and they were like, nah, it's not for sale. We're not in the business of taking a loss. So they wouldn't sell the silver down at $11. You have a futures account to lock in the futures prices down there. But so that was a mere anomaly of a flash crash, basically. Now, as you see, silver prices have come up. Gold prices have come up, but not at the same rate. And now that gold silver ratio is about 75 to 1. Where I believe we're going to go initially will be in the 60s, then 50s and 40s, but that's multi-year.
See, 60s, 50s, and 40s. What he's talking about, the ratio is going to shrink. That's why right now it's a great time to buy silver more than gold. Okay? You want to buy silver because as the ratio shrinks, you can make money just by trading the metals.
Fashion in order to achieve that. But in the short run, we're looking at, if we could break below 75 to 1, I really think you're going to see this slow and steady deterioration of that ratio favoring silver over gold.
Now, if we look long term, like historically, the ratio has been around 16 to 1, but more in the 20th and 21st century, we've seen a higher ratio, going all the way up to 125, 126 to 1. And we saw in 1980, we saw it dip to about 15 to 1, and then in 2011 around 30 to 1. Why do you think there's been this great shift in the gold?
So you already said, so was it 2008? Is that what he said? It shifted down. It was the ratio changed to 30 to 1. Can you imagine that right now? So let's say you had all that silver and then you traded it across when it was 30 to 1 for ounces of gold, right? Because, the same thing, 250 ounces that you got. You traded your 2 ounces of gold and you got 250 ounces of silver. And then again, if it gets over to, 30 to 1, you trade it across back then. Think about how many ounces of gold you would have gotten. I mean, not gold. Yeah. Okay, so let me do this again. So 30 to 1 ratio. And let's say we did trade our 2 ounces and we got our 250 ounces of silver. All right. We're going to divide it by, he said 30 to 1 was ratio. So then once the ratio went from, 170 something, got down to 30, you could then change your 250 ounces of silver and got just a little over 8 ounces of gold. Okay? Do you see how crazy that is? So you traded 2 ounces of gold, got 250 ounces of silver. If the ratio dropped down to 30 to 1, you could have traded those same 250 over and got over 8 ounces of gold. And then you see what happens is the gap widened again. So now it went from 30. Now we're at July it was 125. Now we're at 75 to 1. Do you see how people watch the ratios and you can make money off that?
Gold silver ratio to be a lot higher in the last 100 years or so. And do you see that reverting back to its historic ratio?
Each one of those different situations that you outlined, there were different things like where, Hunt brothers were trying to corner silver, or rampant inflation in the 70s, or, that crash in 2008 where it seemed like we went deflationary and all investment assets were going down. I really believe that, the ratio is it's a full cycle investing approach. So that ratio is going to work off of whatever the next cycle is. And the next cycle is that green initiative, the solar panel demand, the electric vehicle demand, the medical uses for silver, things like that. It's just purely the number of uses are continuing to expand, while gold's use is really quite insignificant. There's nothing there. It's just a store of value that doesn't achieve any yield. So I'm not saying it's gold for the long run. If you have a price objective, or I'm sorry, a time horizon objective of 10, 20 years out, yeah, gold prices will probably be higher than where they're at today. What I'm saying is that you don't have to be this horse with the blinders on, I'm only long gold. You can look at other assets, trying to be a little bit more proactive, a little bit tactical about it. And that's where I think that this next wave is going to be that decline.
So again, that's why I'm saying, look, you guys, people ask me all the time, how much should I do? I have I inherited $100,000. I say usually do an 80-20 split. 80% silver, 20% gold. You do want to hold gold, don't get me wrong. But right now with the ratio being so out of whack, it's kind of hard not to say, hey, do 100% silver. Because the ratio is too far apart. You can actually make money paying attention to the ratios if you do it correctly. All right, you guys, I just wanted to share this information with you. If you are trying to look at, a little bit more of a deal on silver per ounce, maybe you consider going over there to Money Metals and buy some of their Canadian coins or the Cougarans. You know what I mean? You could, the Cougarans are slightly cheaper. Now, if you're just buying one or two, it's probably not going to make that much of a significant difference. But if you are definitely buying, 50, 60, 100 of them, then it will make a difference. You'll pick up like 1 or 2 extra ounces just by going to the cheaper silver coin. All right. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys later.